Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to our Institution of Global Professionals free webinar. Thank you for all of you. Thank you all of you for joining with us in this event. My dear lovely participants, today I'm your host, Nasrunisha from Bangladesh, and I'm very proud to be associated with IGP as a global member, and I feel respected and privileged to host this webinar today. It's my delight to welcome all of you to our Institution of Global Professionals free webinar. Thank you once again for joining in this lovely day with us. My humble request to all of you, please share this webinar with your friends, with your family, and your familiar person. And you can also tag them and mention them in our comment box too. My dear lovely participants, I'm sure you all have many takeaways and payoffs from this webinar. Each time you can also, once again, I'm repeating, you can also like and comment in our webinar. So don't forget to tag, mention, and share in your newsfeed today's webinar. My dear lovely participants, so let's get watch together and learn together because we believe power is gained by sharing knowledge, not holding it. Once again, I'm your host Nasrin Nisha, member in IGP from Bangladesh. Welcome all of you. Every day we have some new participants who join with us in our show. So let me tell about a little concept give about IGP to all of you. Institution of Global Professionals serves students and communities resource providing holistic social work and education for create a profession generation. IGP also leading on online skills developments institute with thousands of learners worldwide. We make it get at able to use for every knowledge seeker to originate personality more ambitious, make confident to face any circumstance and develop own skills. We are entrusted with international recognition. Let me tell about more about IGP. Institution of Global Professional is an educational institution provides social work. We believe that it's not effective to increase one's skill just by acquiring formal education. So we provide effective training and consultation to generate profession generation all over the world. So we organized our webinar, training, office, offline, online courses, etc. by best and trained speakers, coaches from all over the world. So create a best learning platform for all of you. It's our pleasure. Our mission is to empower people and enhance. We have already completed our 500 and 12 number webinar. So today I'm presenting webinar number 513, that is Intercultural Communications. Before inviting our speaker, honorable speaker, let me tell about once again, don't forget to share, mention your friends, family, and familiar person, and you can also tag them. You can share your newsfeed this webinar so people can get know about this program. My dear lovely participants, let's welcome our honorable speaker from Philippines. Welcome, sir.
Hello, Nasreen. Good
Hello,
afternoon.
sir. Good afternoon. How are you,
Okay, it's
sir?
already afternoon here in the Philippines. I'm great. How about you?
I'm good.
Okay.
Sir, you can start your presentation.
Okay, I may start now. Okay, let me just get my slide.
Sure,
Am
sir.
I audible enough,
Yes, sir.
Miss Nasrin? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, is this visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me begin.
Okay, sir.
So, what unifies people in a certain community? Language is a unifying tool of people because it is through it that one builds relationship. Conversely, because of how people speak, okay, and speak as well, it is a reason of that leads to conflict. Okay, every time we're going to speak, it also leads to conflict. So as the global village continues to welcome globalization, like right now, we are actually engaging into like having networks, a lot of networks from people across the globe, right? So there will always be what you call this one. The society becomes a smaller place to live in, where meeting people from different country is made possible, okay, because of the reason and advancement of technology, where meeting is just a click on our keyboard computer, just like what we are doing right now. I think you would not you would agree with me on how the world becomes a place becomes smaller. So today's topic is centered on intercultural communication. Or is it not showing? Okay, intercultural communication. So indeed, this virtual classroom is attended by audiences coming from various countries. Hence, allow me to extend my greetings to you all. Sugar Bean, good day. Magandang hapon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Virgin Ramonong from the University of the Immaculate Conception and the current seat of power of the presidency, Philippines, kay Davao City. So moving forward, so today's topic is centered on intercultural communication. So with the main topic, so I have divided it into the following. So for us to be fully guided on what to expect with today's sharing, let me give you. Okay, what are the things I would like to be sharing with you in this? I don't know, it's already evening in your end, or morning, or afternoon. But here in the Philippines, it's still afternoon, 4 p.m. So I would be having for the main topic is in intercultural communication, and I would like to have first a self-assessment, and then it would now next to intercultural communication, leading to how culture differs, okay, how culture differ, and then there are also framework in developing our intercultural communication, and there are also barriers to intercultural communication, and there are also gestures around the world. These are things that we have to really be cautious of because we might not be aware that sometimes our gestures are already um, an insult to others. To us, it's okay, but to others, it may be good. And lastly, also about public speaking guidelines, because again, along the way, as we are speaking, we have to be careful how to say things in order to maintain this value of respect as we are, as because as we are speaking, we always bring with us our own culture. Okay, so moving on. So when you speak or listen, you are doing as a member of a particular and unique culture. You're greatly influenced by the teachings, okay, of your religion, racial and national history, the social expectations for your gender, because we have types of genders, right, male and female, and also a host of other factors. So in today's talk, generally, we'll be learning about the following. Okay, how culture influence communication, and secondly, how can how how you can communicate, okay, more effectively in a world that is becoming increasingly multicultural. So as you can see right now, I'm a Filipino, but I am talking to you in the language that we are, all of us here are familiar with, right? Some of you are Bangla, some of you might be Vietnamese. I don't know exactly what specific, okay, nationality we are all present here. So these are the things you would like to, at least you have an idea on our picture on what are the things that are expected at the end of this talk. So I hope you would be learning from this afternoon's talk. Okay, moving forward. So I have here, so before digging deeper, I would like us first to assess our cultural beliefs and values. So I will be flashing statements in which you will rate your level of agreement or maybe disagreement based on your personal assessment. Okay, there is no right or wrong answers with this because it is just a way of having introspection of our cultural beliefs and um, values. So here, as you can see in the in your screen, here the it says here, what are your cultural beliefs and values? That's the question, right? So it's a self-assessment. So here the extremes of 10 cultural differences are identified. So for each characteristics, indicate your own values. So I would like you to get a piece of paper so that you could what do you call this one? You could assess, okay, your personal values and even your yeah, culture, okay, how we differ. So I'll give you time to get a piece of paper, maybe 10 seconds for that, for you to get your paper with you before I'll start going on to the next slide. Okay, just to give you time to get a piece of paper. Okay, so because I will be flashing in the next slide, I will be flashing before you statements. So again, if you feel your values are first very similar to the extremes, then select 1 or 7. Okay, quite similar to the extremes, then select 2 or 6. So you will only choose one. Okay, you will not be encircling or you will not be writing two numbers, just one number from 1 or 7. B are quite similar to the extremes, then select 2 or 6. And C, it's fairly similar to the extremes, then select 3 or 5. And if it's neutral, you are just in between, then select 4. So I hope I was making myself clear on what are the on how are we going to rate ourselves. So 1 as the lowest, and 7 as our highest score, and 4 as our neutral number. So I hope you're ready now. The first statement is this. So I'll read to you. Men and women are equal and are entitled to equality in all areas. Men and women, of course, you have to choose only one, okay? These are just extreme statements. So this is the positive, and this is somehow the negative. So men and women are very different and should stick to the specific roles assigned to them by their culture. So I'll give you 10 seconds perhaps to think and assess yourself. Okay, now moving on. Second statement is on group and individual orientation. So this is now about success. So success is measured by your contribution to the group. The other statement, success is measured by how far you outperform others. Okay, I'll give you 10 seconds again to assess yourself. Next, on the concept of hedonism. Okay, so you should enjoy yourself as much as possible, and you should work as much as possible. So if you say hedonism, let me just define to you what hedonism is. So hedonism is the doctrine that pleasure for happiness is the soul of or chief good in life. So that is why there are those people who would love to really work and work, while there are those who would really love to enjoy as much as possible. So this is about hedonism. Okay, now moving on. Now about religion. So religion is the final arbiter of what is right and wrong. Your first obligation is to abide by the rules and customs of your religion. And then second is religion is like any other social institution. It's not inherently moral or right just because it's a religion. Okay, whether you agree or disagree, you choose the number from 1 to 7. Again, there is no right or wrong answers here. Okay, it's just a self analysis, a self introspection. Okay, moving on about family. Your first obligation is to your family. Each person is responsible for the welfare of his or her family. So it means that in this case, there are those people who would really give much focus, okay, on their family aside from oneself. While on the opposite, there are those people who would your first obligation is to yourself. Okay, so sometimes we are guilty of serving others first, okay, while ourselves. So sometimes in fact like me, um there are cases that I would prefer that my family is enjoying more than I do, while there are also times that I would like to have it on myself first before my family. So it really varies, okay, from one person to another. So that's about family. Okay, next, about time orientation. So work hard now for a better future. Meanwhile, live in the present. The future may never come. So in this case, there are those people who would really love to like save because of they are preparing for the future. Well, there are those who would just like think that let's go with the flow of life. Life, money would just come, right? So there are cases that people would really give much focus on enjoying life to the full, while others would really love to work better. And then, so if you have noticed on social posts or social media posts, there are people who are, though they have lots of money, but they don't have energy. While the young ones, they have the energy, but they don't have the money. So that's the case. Okay. So whether we agree or disagree, it's our choice. Next, about relationship permanency. Romantic relationship once made are forever. Meanwhile, the other one, romantic relationships should be maintained as long as they are more rewarding than punishing and dissolved when they are more punishing than rewarding. So maybe this is very personal, yet it's really true among our experiences, right? There are those who would really love to believe in uh, once it's made, it's forever. While those who would think that it's not working, it's like just testing the waters in the relationship. So in that case, what would happen? If it's still working, continue with the relationship. And if it's not, stop. That is why, if you have noticed, there are countries that would allow, okay, divorce, while other countries do not allow that. Like Philippines, we are not yet into divorce, but other countries are already uh, allowing such. Okay, moving forward, emotional expression. So people should express their emotions openly and freely, while the other is people should not reveal their emotions, especially those that may reflect negatively on them or others or make others feel uncomfortable. So there are those people who are so blunt in saying things, but there are also those people who are a bit careful of not saying just to maybe um, maintain the relationship or to avoid like hurting, okay, the person. So I guess you have already chosen. Let me move to the next. Money. Okay, so I guess many of you have this a lot. So money is extremely important and should be a major consideration in just about any decision you make. While money is relatively unimportant and should enter into life's really important decisions, such as what career to pursue. Okay, we are very aware that money is really a factor on what kind of life we would be living at the moment or even in the future, right? Because of money as well, others would have a very good future once it's really handled very well. But there are also those who have though they have the money, but they don't know how to manage the this financial matter would also lead into bankruptcy. So you may have no choice now. I guess this is the last. Believe in a just world. So the world is just a place. Bad things happen to bad people, and good things happen to good people. What goes around comes around. So that's the thing. While the other one, the world is random. Bad and good things happen to people without any reference to whether they are good or bad people. So that's why we have Confucius saying about do not do unto others. Okay, the golden rule: do not do unto others what you want others do unto you, because maybe there's a the so-called good karma or the bad karma. So if you are good, something good will happen. If you are bad, something will also bad happen to you. So please choose now. Okay, so you have just finished assessing your what do you call this one? Your self about your cultural beliefs and values. So this test was designed to explore the possible influence of your cultural beliefs and values on communication. So all those statements that we have been talking about would always impact, okay, our way of communicating with people. So if you visualize the communication as involving choices, then your beliefs will influence the choices you make, and thus how you communicate and how you listen and respond to the communicators of others. Because again, it's always be reflective of what our beliefs are, what our values are. Okay, it would always mirror it would, as we are communicating, it would always surface what kind of values we have in life. Because again, people are differing in terms of beliefs. My beliefs might be different from your beliefs. Not might, but it's surely different from your beliefs, right? So because I have my own gender, I have my own um, emotions, I have my own um, problems, and I have my own concerns and also values that would always be different from yours. So every time we're going to talk or we're going to discuss matters, there would always be, okay, what do you call this one, agreement or disagreement along the way. Okay, so moving forward, now diversity in today's working world, diversity has undeniably become a fact of life. Okay, Wherever we go, be it in the neighborhood, academe, or workplaces, diversity is ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Okay? This diversity cannot only be observed with our gender. Okay, we also have our religion, attitudes, but also with how we interact with one another. In the self-evaluation earlier that we just had, wherein you rated yourself, right? I am more than certain that our answers vary because all of us here, okay, present attending in this platform, are diverse individuals. Aside from our age, aside from our educational background, aside from our language, everything among us, okay, um, would always vary in many respects. So, as a matter of fact, okay, in US alone, according to who's this? Pastel and Cons, okay, study on population projection in US. That's US, okay? We are having the example in US. The population of Miami is two-thirds Hispanic, okay, and over half of Washington D.C. residents are, yeah, black, and one third of the San Franciscans are Asian Americans. As the figure shows, okay, as you can see in the figure there, um, the trend toward diversity will continue for the foreseeable future, okay, the coming future. According to U.S. Census Bureau, the nation's, okay, Hispanic, whites, and Asian populations will triple over the next half century. Okay, and non-Hispanic whites will represent about one half of the population by 2050. That's according to the study of Pastel and Kohn, with my source here in Washington, D.C. That's in U.S. alone. How much more in our very own respective countries? The Philippines, in Bangladesh, Nepal, or wherever we are, right? It would always be increasing. And that would make us somehow more, okay, diverse. So, and because of this increasing population coming from diverse culture, it may lead us to what? What do you think? It's of course misunderstanding. Okay, so this is about the misunderstanding. So the tendency for misunderstanding and serious conflicts are very probable when people communicate in different languages. Okay, or when ideas are interpreted differently based on one's cultural perspective, communication behavior, and cultural meaning. But even in the same language, let's say, for example, English, right? So misunderstanding may still occur. If you have noticed, even among English speakers, like British and even Americans, they're sharing the same language. However, when they come into contact, okay, there are certain words that are somehow different from that. So, and that's where now diversity comes in, where this so-called misunderstanding, okay, might happen. Okay, so aside from that, um, it will occur, right? Because we may not have speakers may not have what shared pronunciation, accent, tone, tone of voice, okay, or even usage, idiom, and what do you call this one? Meaning of words and phrase. In fact, in our country, like the word karon, okay, karon is like the word now. If you're going to talk to a Hiligaynon, it's a kind of variety in our country, okay? A kind of, yeah, dialect in our country. If you would use the word karon in Bisaya and you're talking to a Hiligaynon, karon is actually now. But for a Hiligaynon, it's actually later. So of course, being the receiver who is a Hiligaynon would always be interpreting these words differently. It's because we do not shake. We have the same words. However, those are actually words that are cognates, but termed as false cognates. There are two types of cognates: true cognates and false cognates. If you say cognates, these are words that are similar, maybe in pronunciation or even in the spelling, but once they are interpreted, it may either be share the same meaning or be contrasting in meaning, and that's about cognates. Okay, so because I'm studying linguistics, so what else? So this happens because individuals are raised in a particular culture where they are conditioned by its language, rule, and even norms. So as you can see here, um, it shows here like people are talking, but still there's what misunderstanding. So and that's it, as you can see here. So intercultural communication is not actually only limited to how people talk. It also includes, okay, how people project oneself before another, because one cannot not communicate. Okay, we can surmise from this picture, as you can see in the picture here, um, that the people here come from different cultures. Okay, as you can see, the one extending his hand, while the maybe that's the Korean trying to um, yeah, give her his name before this guy. And there's also this picture here, a woman who seems to be invading the space. If you could read the bubble thoughts, okay, they are expressing something that would tell us about their confusion. Okay, so the people here come from different culture, right? So where they were, it shows like confusion with how to introduce themselves with one another. That's very evident in the picture. Okay, so moving forward, okay, that was just the introduction. Okay, we are now in the very thing about intercultural communication. So what is intercultural communication, by the way? So intercultural communication means the process of interaction, okay, among different cultural groups. Its offshoots include, okay, why is it not showing? Um, Let me just show you all. Okay, so its offshoots include interracial communication. That's about different races. Interethnic communication. That's about different ethnicity. International communication, that's about different nations. And even intracultural communication, and that's communication among members of the same culture. So these are maybe the umbrella of the word intercultural communication, but still these are types of communication where certain type of like interaction may happen. So we have interethnic, we also have the interracial, we have international, and even intracultural communication. So moving forward, okay. So but before we can dig deeper to what intercultural communication is, let us first review the concept about culture. So what is culture? Okay, so now according to, sorry, where is that? Now, according to Zimmerman, culture refers to characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people, encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and arts. So, as you can see, it's not only about the language, it could also be about our religion, our kind of food, our habits, our practices, our rituals, our rites, even out the way how we dress. It's always part of culture. And to some other author, um, it encompasses one's academic status and emotional state. So, like right now, um, I have my own emotions. You have your own emotions. You may see me smiling, but deep inside me, I may not be that okay because of maybe of past issues or concerns I have personally, and even yourself, right? We have our own problems in life. And it is said that tribal commonality, okay, is highly conducive to social bonding. So if there's common among us, okay, there is something that is something that we share the same interest. Okay, this might be our a form of social bond. Have you noticed when people are of the same age, when you are of the same gender, what happens? There's connection, there's network among these people. It's because you have that thing called commonality. Okay, you share the same interest. Now, on the contrary, or however, culture is not always simple. Culture is a slippery, elastic concept that takes on multiple shades of meaning. Okay, on one level, culture can refer to the trivial, like when what is this for Christians, okay, or for Catholics, perhaps, like when we cut down a tree, okay, and move it inside and decorate it once a year, and that's Christmas. To those who are familiar with Christmas, culture can also refer to the momentous, okay, as in what people will die for. So I guess you know these people if you're like this one is a Philippine hero, Jose Rizal, our national hero. And these are also Indonesian hero and American hero. So with that, it's needless for me to say what heroes died for. These people, okay, did not just die for nothing. And that is actually part of our culture. Now, moving forward, in conjunction to the previous definition of culture, how can culture influence the way people talk? Okay, so culture influences everything that we do, from our recreational activities to what we eat, to how we celebrate, and to how we worship, and to how we even speak before an audience. Like right now, how I speak to you will always be part of my culture. And that leads us to the question, why study intercultural communication? Okay, I know you have your very own reasons why you are coming here, you are attending this seminar. It's because you would like to learn something. Others are doing it for personal growth, others are doing it for professional development, while others are here for maybe for learning purposes. Okay, we vary when it comes to our purpose for coming in here or joining us today. Now, to answer that question, okay, as globalization continues to bloom, it is inevitable that you will be communicating with people. Like right now, we are in this world of we are connected, okay, with the use of our computer, okay, through the internet. So there would always be people who would not look like you. Of course, I'm Asian. Some of you might not be Asian, right? We are, some of you are maybe African or American, or I don't know what kind of um, what which place we belong. Of course, we don't think the same. We don't think like you, right? And communicate like you. The way I communicate would also be different from how you would be communicating. So now, direct contact with culturally different people in our neighborhoods, communities, school, and workplaces is an escapable part of life. So I'm sure as you are working or you are even with your neighborhood, we could not always escape talking with people, right? As we are working, as we are attending school, we always bring with us our um, own values in life, our own culture that would somehow be a factor as we are interacting with them. So, with this, scholars sought to find a few underlying dimensions of cultures that nations and people are placed on. Okay, so with this, the need to study intercultural communication will serve as our primer in living in a diverse community. So there are at least, okay, four major ways in which culture differ that are especially important for communication. So following, what was my author? Um, Hut's feed, okay, in 1997. Sorry, I was not able to place the author. Uh, and Hall, yeah, in 1987. We will consider the following: collectivist and individualist, high and low context, power distances, and masculine and feminine culture. So this is usually, okay, how our diversity is always reflected. So moving. Now let's start first with collectivist and individualist culture. So cultures vary in the extent which they promote individual values. So for instance, power achievement, hedonism, and stimulation versus collectivist. Okay, for example, they have benevolence, tradition, and conformity. Now, starting off with the individualist. So individualism is a social orientation which places more importance in an individual's own needs or rights, okay, or choices over a collectives or groups. So individualists value independence and self-reliance, and because of this, they are responsible for themselves, okay, and perhaps their immediate family. So for them, success is measured by the extent to which one surpasses other members. Meanwhile, with the collectivist or collectivism, on the other hand, values a group more than an individual. So people in a collectivist culture um, tends to conform stronger to social norms, hence called conformists as opposed to individualists. Hence, they are responsible for the entire group. So for them, success is measured by their contribution to the achievement of the group as a whole. The term for the common good, okay, is the motivation of people's actions and choices in this culture. So, in addition, these orientations also influence the kind of communication members consider appropriate organizational context. So, for example, individualistic organizations members favor clarity and directness. In contrast, collectivists favor face saving and the avoidance of hurting others or arousing negative evaluations. So there are those who would have to hold their angst over a person because they didn't want to hurt this person. Okay? While others are so bland that they would just talk in front of the person no matter who the people are or who the person is, whether they are in public or even in private, opposing the the latter. Okay, moving forward, now we have the um, high and high and low context culture. So culture also differs in the extent to which information is made explicit. On the one hand, is assumed to be in the context or in the person communicating on the other. So high context culture, in which much of the information in communication is in the context of the person. Okay, so for example, we have here Japanese, Latin American, Thai, Korean, Mexican. That's according to Victor 1992. So these are examples of people, or people or nationalities who are somehow. This is based on a study. Okay, these are people who are somehow high context culture. So Moving forward, so this culture places great emphasis on personal relationships and oral agreements. So they spend lots of time getting to know one another interpersonally and socially before any important transactions take place. So in this case, before you would engage into a transaction, you would really have to know the person first. So it's like building first your foundation of your connection before you would really have to jump into your purpose for why you are engaging into such kind of discourse. On the other hand, the low context culture is one in which most of the information is explicitly stated in the verbal message. Okay, in formal transactions, it will be stated in written, or contract forms. Example of this are the Germans, the Swedish, Norwegian, and even Americans. So this culture places less emphasis on personal relationship and more emphasis on verbalized, explicit explanation and, for example, on written contracts and business transactions. So again, they are always different. If this one needs to have to establish relationship, the other one is somehow a bit too impersonal. So moving forward, now, in the third one is about the power distances. So in some culture, power is concentrated in the hands of a few, and there's a great difference between the power um, held by these people and the power of the ordinary citizens. So these are the high power distance and low power distance. So power is concentrated in the hands of few. So example is like um, Philippines, right? Mexico, Brazil, and even India. So these are the countries who are somehow considered to be high power distance. So example, in the classroom, students are expected to be modest, polite, and totally respectful. So even in our country, when we are going to meet our teachers, we would always like put our hands right here and do the greeting. I guess also others would in Thai, they would the Y, right, as a form of showing respect. I don't know with other cultures on how they do it. We also have the it's called as pagmamano or blessing on the hands, where it's a gesture of showing respect. Okay, while in some other countries, like for example, Americans, if you are going to watch TV, um, like Spain, right? They would usually call their teachers or even the principals on their first name. If you've seen one, I don't know if it has already changed, but most of the television they have watched, they would not call their mom as mom, but in the first name. So, so power in this case is more in the lower power distance. Okay, power is more evenly distributed throughout the citizenry. So, example is Denmark, New Zealand, Sweden, and USA. So, in the classroom, students are expected to demonstrate their knowledge and command on the subject matter, participate in discussion with the teacher, and look at this, even challenge the teacher. So with this, it gives the students like independence, like encouraging the students to be more interactive with the teacher. Maybe in the case of the lower distance, because they are like seemingly like being spoon fed, right, being just given, because raising a point may be somehow considered to be um, already a disrespectful act. Okay, but in my case, in the classroom, I always allow my students. I teach language, and with that, I would always love to encourage my students to speak, and sometimes I would even want them to be the one presenting their lessons because I would want them to like develop the sense of independence as they are um, because they are teachers to be. So I would love them to see how they're going to deliver the topic. Okay, moving forward. Now the last one is on masculine and feminine culture. So especially important for self-concept is the culture's attitude about gender roles. Okay, that is how a man or woman should act. Another classical classification of culture is in terms of their masculinity and femininity. So in highly masculine culture, people value male aggressiveness, material success, and strength. They confront conflict directly and to fight out any differences competitively. Okay, they are more likely to emphasize win-lose conflict strategies. They also emphasize success and so socialize their members to be assertive, ambitious, and even competitive. Meanwhile, for the feminine culture, so people value modesty, concern for relationships, and the quality of life, and tenderness in both men and women in the feminine culture. So, for example, they are more likely to utilize compromise and negotiation in resolving conflicts. They are more likely to seek win-win solutions. So that's for feminine culture. Okay, I hope you were able to follow that. Now, to develop, so those are the four distinction of our cultural values, okay? On how some, just some according to the authors. So now, to develop our multicultural competence or the ability to effectively interact with diverse cultural groups, we have here Miyu et al. In 2006 introduce, okay, the following three steps. What are these? First, we have to be aware of our own cultural attitudes. Second, understand other worldviews. Third, develop culturally appropriate interpersonal skill. Now, if we talk about being aware of our own cultural attitudes earlier, remember we just had our self-assessment, our self-introspection regarding our values and attitudes on certain things. So, like for instance, we have this: it is okay for a girl to ask a boy out for a romantic date. The man must provide the main, you may either say yes or no. The man must provide the main source of income for the family. Third, I embrace same-sex marriage. Fourth, when a friend asks for a favor, it's difficult to say no. And five, I show efforts to befriend an international student in my class, if you are a student in their case. So this is being aware of our own cultural um, attitudes. Okay. So moving now, second is understand other worldviews. So what is a worldview, by the way? So worldview refers to how someone, okay, perceives and reacts to the world we all live in. So people of the same culture share similar worldviews as a result of personal, family, or racial background. So values, experiences, priorities, goals, societal norms, and other factors that shape our thoughts and actions. The opposite is also true among people from different cultures. So we have here our four cultural understanding worldviews, right? That we have just discussed earlier. So we have individualism and collectivism culture, high and context culture, feminine and masculine and feminine culture, and even power distances. I don't have to elaborate this because we have already discussed them um, earlier, okay, prior to this idea that I have presented. So moving now, so next is still according to the author, Miyu et al. Um, they suggest, third is to develop culturally appropriate interpersonal skill. So according to the authors, they suggest education, like this one, right? joining lectures, reading books, and watching films on multicultural issues. So that's actually the best way on how we could be able to understand why certain practices in a certain country are being still carried on even up to date. Like today, we are fond of watching K dramas. Like Philippines, okay, is really fond of watching K dramas. I don't know with the other countries what you are fond of. So BTS, if you're familiar with that, so it's a common fad here in our country. And with that, through their maybe through their music, through their songs, through their movies, right? That's a way of learning, and that's education. And being able aware, it gives us a chance, okay, to look into the cultural practices of the country. And second is what? Experience. So joining cultural organizations and even traveling. So if you are fond of traveling, do that because it would really help a lot in learning other culture. So me, I love traveling. I've been to different places, and it really differs when it comes to like food, how people behave. So it really amazes me every time I travel because it's a way of learning. It's not just having fun, but also a learning experience on my end. So keep traveling. And the third one is language. So asking questions when reaching out to different cultures. So speaking for a minority group to increase multicultural competence. So again, this through language that we are able to learn others. Okay. So in using appropriate language, okay, then just in addition to that, um, in using appropriate language to bridge cultural in your environment, you know that you speak differently to a stranger and to a family member. There are nicknames you can call your best friends, but just for fun, right? But you won't dare call your grandparents. This form of language, which varies depending on the speakers, their situations and purpose. That's what we call as communicative context. Okay, we sometimes make use of register. So I guess you know what register is. There are certain language that we are using every time we speak. Okay, like right now, I'm not talking to a student who are um, close to me. I am making use of a language that is somehow formal because I am in a certain environment where I must use certain register. Maybe if you are just friends, I could just call you dude, hey, girl, things like that, right? Because I am familiar with you. But since we are not familiar with one another, we are strangers. I have to make use of a register that is somehow shows respect. Like look at a doctor and a patient. There's a certain kind of communication that they have to adjust. The doctor could not make use of a technical term to tell what's the result of the diagnosis, right? So they don't have to make use of scientific terms when they're talking to their patient. Otherwise, this not patient, maybe a person who is maybe having the consultation, they have to make use of a term that is common, a layman's term. Okay, so that's the thing about a register. So and there are 5 levels. We have the frozen, we have the formal, we have the casual, we have the consultative, and we also have the forgot the other one. Sorry for the other one. It's the intimate. So okay. So sometimes look at lovers. They would make use of honey, baby, right? Because the level is somehow some like intimate, very close, right? So now let's have a little game on this part. There are always be like barrier to intercultural communication, right? So I'll give you maybe 10 seconds to answer this questions I'm gonna flash. Is the explicit action, okay, we take to exclude or avoid others? Okay, later you may answer that. Number two, it's across the belief that one's own cultural ways are superior to other cultures. And third is a negative attitude toward a cultural group based on little or no experience of that group. And lastly, the practice of categorizing and generalizing about a certain race or ethnic group based on a distorted view of that group. So I'll give you like somehow 20 seconds to answer this crossword puzzle. Okay, before I'll discuss that, just try on your own. Okay, I'll keep quiet now. Okay, I guess that time is up. Let's now try to answer these questions. Okay, number one is discrimination. Okay, that's one barrier to intercultural communication. So, discrimination is the explicit action we take to exclude or avoid others. So, if you've noticed, if you are going to meet a person and you seem to avoid them, you might have this idea or barrier to communication. So it takes stereotypes. Okay, later on it will be shown. These are other barriers. It takes stereotypes and prejudice a step further to either personal actions such as excluding someone from a conversation or collective actions such as excluding others from jobs or economic opportunities. Okay, that's about discrimination. The second one is ethnocentrism. So it is the belief that one's own cultural ways are superior, okay, to other cultures. It prevents you from seeing what's this? Seeing the perspectives, okay, of other people practicing cultural beliefs from yours. So ethnocentrism causes us to judge others by our own values. So that is why there are those people who thinks that their culture is superior than the others. And the third one is on prejudice. So prejudice is a negative attitude toward a cultural group based on little or no experience of that group. So if stereotypes are labels we attach to a group, okay, prejudice is the negative feeling we can feel towards others. Okay, we have our judgment to a certain type of people or group of people, even without our experience or no little exposure to them. Okay, we have our judgment. And finally, we have the stereotyping. So it's the practice of categorizing and generalizing about a certain race or ethnic group based on a distorted view of that group. So a stereotype is an oversimplified perception of a behavioral pattern or characteristics applied to the entire group. Okay, so that's the thing. Now I will show to you these examples of these barriers. Now let me play to you a video, a short video.
There are also variations for saying no. In Greece, they toss their head up. In Japan, they wave their hand in front of their nose like our gesture for stinky. Ew, stinky! No. In Finland, crossing your arms means arrogance. In America, pushing your nose up shows that someone's snobby. Both of these gestures means naughty in America. In Korea, when accepting money, gifts, or a drink, always use both hands.
Okay, so that's about the gestures around the world. So as you have seen, it varies across countries because it may be okay for us, but to some it's already like an insult. So knowing this, communicate well with people of diverse culture. So in addition to the video, we also have some intercultural guidelines that we have to consider. So the first one is the, of course, gesture, which was just explained to you in the video earlier. So now, be aware of how cultural differences influence how we interpret things. So, for example, sitting at table during a meeting and showing the soles of your feet, okay, to the audience is normal in U.S. Settings, but it could be viewed as an impolite and insulting in many others. So, pointing to an audience, okay, member and using the AOK gesture is all right with US audiences, but the gesture can be insulting in some cultures. Now, next is about self disclosure. So be aware of how cultural differences influence when and how much you self disclose. So, in fact, there was a study, okay, it was revealed that Asians, okay, are more selective of whom they disclose to. Meanwhile, in US, however, it is appropriate to talk about one's family. Meanwhile, in several other cultures, people would look askance if a speaker disclosed information about his or her family. So I don't know if even in our country, I would ask my colleague, okay, my co-teacher, about how much his salary is, but he would not disclose. So see, even among our own friends, they might not want to disclose some of their personal information. Next is about cultures vary in degree of to which speakers needs to appear formal when presenting. So people dress more elegantly to show status. So um, status in formal culture. So in the US culture, informal presentations are almost always the norm. So a speaker will sit on the desk as they talk, wander about the room, and speak off the cuff. So in other cultures, however, a speaker is supposed to be more formal. So study abroad in some nations and the professors always dress, okay, in a suit, makes no eye contact because he or she is reading word for word to his or her audience. Next to that is about our what do you call this one? Our eye contact. So be aware how cultural differences influence how much and when we should engage to another, okay, in eye contact. So again, in the US and Western European cultures, people expect those with whom they are communicating to look at them in the eye, as eye contact is read as sign of respect. and attentiveness. However, some cultures, direct eye contact is considered rude. So in Japan, people direct their gaze to a position around the Adam's apple, okay, and avoid direct eye contact. So to Chinese and Indonesians, they lower their eyes as a sign of deference. To them, too much eye contact is a sign of bad manners. So those are the four additional guidelines. Now, we are now leading to the last part, and this is about public speaking guidelines. So now, we have here the concept about speak slowly and clearly, use multiple, sorry for that. Why have I pressed it? Use multiple modes of presentation, elevate your level of formality, and avoid humor. So, for the number one, so the first statement, so speak slowly and clearly. So, unless audience members are fluent in the language, like right now, we are using English in this platform. Um, they must translate, okay, your words into their own language, because again, we don't know, um, because it may English may not be our uh, second language, and like Philippines is our second language. I don't know with other countries, because we have, of course, we have others might consider it as a foreign language, right? In our case, it's a second language. So that's it. We have to let them, okay, understand the process, the statements first. So we have to speak slowly and clearly. Next, about use multiple, okay, modes of presentation. So once again, if your audience is not fluent in English, it is wise to use visual aids. Visual restatements such as pictures and graphs can help reinforce your points and keep your audience tracking with your verbal messages. And third, elevate your level of formality. So in general, use a more formal style when speaking to international audiences. Use proper names and titles unless you are directed not to. So there was one time when I was talking to an Indonesian, and is actually a very respected dean in a certain school, but he would just want me to call him in the first name. But I don't know, because I really have, knowing that I know what is proper, I really have to address him doctor or pak, pak. Okay, pak is the sir, pak, adi, pak, like that. So we have to always address them properly. And finally, is we have to avoid humor. It may be humorous to us, but to others, it may not be funny at all. So we have to be careful when we are going to crack jokes, because again, it may not be true across cultures. Of course, because we vary. And with that, this is now our conclusion. So mindful communication means we are constantly aware of and pay attention to our communication behavior. So again, being careful in what we have to really always like look at, okay, how see how it would feel, how it would make others feel with our words, because again, our words are so powerful. They are like weapons. It could either make or break someone. And secondly, is flexible intercultural communication means we are adaptive and creative. It means we make detours and have courage to try again. It means we are other centered. So again, since you are aware now of how it feels if someone would say this, so you must like always put yourself, how would someone feel if I would say this word, right? So that's the thing. Respecting is the main word about intercultural communication. You have to uh, put yourself into their shoes and how they would feel every time you're going to speak. I hope that made sense with our sharing on intercultural communication. And these are my references for today's talk. And with that, Gracias, thank you, and merci to everyone. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
sharing your valuable presentation with our participants. Thank you, sir.
you're always welcome.
Sir, we'll start our quiz competition session. After that, we'll come back with you once again.
Hey, yeah.
Thank you, sir. My dear lovely participants, we'll start our quiz competition within a minute, so get ready. Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome all of you in our quiz session. So we started our quiz competition session. For joining, please go to our comment box. You can see the joining link there, and also you can type www.slido.com, that website, and that the code is quiz IGP. You can also scan our QR bar that is showing on screen. Dear participants, we are still waiting for your joining. And please, let me remind all of you once again, don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friends in our comment box. So let them everyone know about this competition. We have already 26 participants who joined with us. Now it's in 28 numbers. Dear participants, please share this event with your friends, with your family members, with your family person, and also in your newsfeed. You can also mention them because your attachment encourage us to do better and best service to our lovely audience. Okay, we have already 30 participants. Let me tell you the name. Melinda, Civil Hispano, Crispiniano, Janilene, Kiefer, Lazel, Abed, Rain, Maria, Jeanine, Dia Facunda, Emily, Carmela, Rosie, Ashok Kumar Adhikari, Christina, Jeffrey, Mean, and rest of them. Please put your full name that you want to give in certificate. Today we'll announce 10 top 10 winners. Once again, I'm repeating that you can see the joining link in our comment box, and you can So the correct answer is those with different cultural beliefs, values with another. 66% chose the right answer. Okay, we have Christina V. Del Rosario on first position in our leaderboard. Let's see our next question. Why is intercultural communication studied? To achieve a power level of over 9,000 or to understand difference in other cultures and embrace them? Let's go for your answer. Okay, 100% chosen the correct answer. The answer is to understand differences in other cultures and embrace them. Congratulations. Let's see your leaderboard. We have Christina V. Del Rosario on first position in our leaderboard. Our next question. Intercultural communications competence also has the potential to benefit you. So the correct answer is academically and personally or world peace. The correct answer is academically and personally. 89% of majority chosen the correct answer. Let's see the leaderboard. We have once again Christina on first position in our leaderboard. Let's go for our next question. Which of the following is not an example of intercultural communication? Is this gestures or feelings? Correct answer is gestures. 20% chosen the right answer. Okay, let's see our leaderboard. We have Brian Joan on first position in our leaderboard. Congratulations. Let's go for our question number 8. Intercultural conflict can be perceived or legitimate or academically and personally. So the correct answer is can be perceived or legitimate. 88% of majority chosen the right answer. Okay, we have Green June once again on first position in our leaderboard. Congratulations. Let's go for our question number 9. Educating and practicing intercultural communication in the workplace will give co-workers the impression that you're understanding and professional or give co-workers the impression that you do not take your job seriously. So the correct answer is give co-workers the impression that you're understanding and professional. 97% of majority chosen the correct answer. Let's see your leaderboard. We have Rian Joan once again on first position, following Lizel on second position. Then we have Christina on third position. Congratulations. Let's see our question number 10. This is our last question, so be ready and let's see who will be our top 10 winners. You realize your favorite course, intercultural communication, is nearly over sadness or anger. The correct answer is sadness. 77% chosen the right answer. Let's go to our leaderboard. Okay, we have Liesel A. Gavaldon on first position in our leaderboard. Then we have Christina V. Del Rosario on second position. We have Alex Xavier Alvarez on third position. Then we have Lee Fapunla on fourth position. Then we have Emily Katabe on fifth position. Then we have Emily M. Refugee on sixth position. We have Rosie T. Your source on seventh position. We have Rain June Calling on eighth position. Then we have Jeanine Feeler on ninth position. And then we have Janelle B. Mandel on 10th position. Congratulations, all of you, all of our top 10 winners. Once again, congratulations to our top 10 winners, and I'm really sorry about for disconnected because of some technical issue. I wasn't with you guys, but you never left me. You are stay connected with the session, and thank you from core of my heart, all of you. And once again, congratulations to our top 10 winners. You'll get your certificate from our Facebook page. So we'll go to our next session in QA session with our speakers. So stay connected with that session also. That is very interesting and informative session. So let's start. Once again, welcome, sir.
Hi, Miss Nasreen.
Hello, sir.
Congratulations to the
So this is
winners.
our Q.
Yeah, the Q&A portion. How I love to hear questions from our
This,
participants.
yes, sir. This is our question answer session, and this is very interesting and very informative session for our participants. My dear lovely participants, please share this event with your friends, with your family and family person. You can also mention them and tag them. So let them know, let them ask to our speakers about today's topic based question. Let everyone know about this. I would like to thank our volunteer team who working with IGP and helping our participants giving their uh, desirable, whatever they want about our anything that related with webinar they need. They are giving all the information. So thank you. My dear lovely participants, we are still waiting for your question. Please mention our speaker's name and ask the question in our comments.
Miss
Okay, we have
Nasreen?
our first question. Yes. and that is from Maria Julita. She said, "Good afternoon, sir. You have a beautiful topic. I learned a lot from you about different culture." Okay, she's just thanking.
Thank
And
you.
okay, we have a question from Nesrine. She said, "My question goes you, Mr. Namonong. Do you think
Mhm.
that intercultural communication can be realized all around the world?"
Okay, may I answer that question now? Thank you. Is this Mr. or Miss Benri Nesrin?
Yes,
Miss.
yes,
Okay. So talking about culture, of course, every place would always have their culture, right? Even in family, we have our own culture. I have my own culture. You have your own culture. It would not be impossible that it could not reach other parts of the world because it's everywhere. Okay, as long as we are talking, as long as we are interconnecting with other people, we'll always be bringing with us our own culture. Okay, so what's important is as you are interacting with the people around you, you must be cautious on how you're going to um, deal with people because again, as you are talking, we will always have our own biases. We always bring with us our values, our beliefs. So it's not impossible that it could not be present in a certain place. So with that, I could say that it could be realized around the world. It's not only true to us, the present here, but across the globe. Okay? I hope Nesri, I was able to satisfy your question.
thank you, sir. Okay, we have next question from Maria Zulita. How can we teach to the primary students to the value of cultural differences?
Okay. So thank you, Miss Maria Julita, um, de la Torre Basan. So basically, primary students are already aware of distinction, right? We always bring with us our gender, our like preferences. So letting them feel or letting them empathize. How would someone feel? Because basically, these are still young learners, right? They might not have yet that wider perspective of what the world really is. Because sometimes these students are so much self centered, where what they want is always what they like, right? They would always have this values because kids as we are, we always want to win. What I like should be done, right? Maybe we could teach the students to have this value of um, knowing about differences is to let them understand how would someone um, feel if our words are be hurting others or our words are going to um, cause other people to feel good. So basic things would be concrete things, and basic things would be actually a lot better to introduce this concept because knowing our differences would always be an issue, right? For us to come into an agreement or disagreement. So again, it takes time for us to understand how people feel. So maybe letting them know how would someone feel, how would someone react to for example, you would let them, oh, what if someone would do this to you? How would you feel if your toy is being taken from you? So that could be a way of um, incorporating this type of value. So I hope, Miss Maria, I was able to address that concern.
Thank you, sir. We're still waiting for next question for our participants. Dear participants, we are still waiting for your question. Please ask your question in our comment box.
Miss Nasrin. We have here a question,
Once
the same
again, it
person from
is from
Maria Junita.
Maria. Yes. She
Yes.
said, are you familiar to Asian hates? What is your opinion regarding this issue?
Okay. So why do you think these things, or yeah, it is very evident on television. In fact, I have encountered this reports on TV for several times, and I have also seen people's narratives, because I have friends from abroad, and why there are these things called as Asian hates. It's because of the idea of um, it's in the intercultural barriers, not discrimination, not stereotype, but it's about the ethnocentrism, because these people think that their values are superior than the others, and because of this superiority of their culture, they think that they should not be here. You're black, you are like this, you are Asian, right? This is actually a factor why such issue is happening. These people do not like it's like telling, why would these people for example in the classroom, why would a non-native speaker of English would be teaching, okay, the language of a place where they speak the language? Because we Filipinos, if you are a Filipino, we Filipinos are actually so particular with how language is structured, right? So maybe that's one thing why, how could these people be part of a certain community when in fact that they are not no they are not native to the place. And because of that, in fact, in terms of salary, because foreigners are actually paid higher than the locals, and that becomes actually a start of hate. Because I've heard, just like yesterday, we were talking about, I had a friend, we were talking about her experience in Texas, USA, where um, Americans are like they would like their teachers to really achieve a certain level of competency, like having the TOEFL, because that's actually a way of assessing how well could these teachers be taught. But going back to the issue about the hate, so that's actually a way on why such a thing is happening. That's one of the causes, because of ethnocentrism, considering one's culture superior. So they think that while you're here, this is my place. Go back to your place, right? You could grow there. That could be. That's why there are a lot of things happening on reports, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you,
I hope,
sir.
yeah.
Okay, we have our next question from Crispiniano Candido. Sir, can intercultural communication be included in any subject we teach?
Okay. So in our case, I teach college. Um, I teach college. If you, I guess some of us here are teachers, right? Global professionals, and I in our curriculum in the Philippines, Sir Candido, I guess Sir Candido is also a Filipino. Um, there's a part in our lesson actually, okay, in purposive communication course, where this topic is actually one one yeah, one chapter for discussion. But if you are also creative enough in incorporating such kind of discipline across, because we could also inject, okay, this issue across disciplines. It doesn't only mean that we could only teach the course this concept in that particular course, because if you are just creative enough in crafting ideas on how you could embed such topic, it would actually be better. If you think you are good in using this as our, like, for example, um, springboard or motivation parts in a certain story of a certain, like, history, right? It could be. So actually, it's within the teacher on how this could be included. But in terms of topic, there is, okay. In fact, in mass communication course in Ateneo de Davao University, there's actually a course for that. Okay, 1 semester. What we have just shared is just actually an overview of what IC is. So I hope Sir Crispiniano I was able to shed light on that concern.
Thank you, sir. Dear participants, we are still waiting for new question. Thank you so much, sir. I think no more question uh, coming. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with our participants, with all
The
of
pleasure
the
is
people.
mine.
Those are watching from different time nation, different time zones, and still they are with us. Thank you so much, sir. Please say something for our participants.
Okay, so thank you for lending me your ears and sharing this topic to all the participants here. I hope that whatever we have learned from this idea may be applied in our day-to-day living. Because again, as we are entering a discursive like context, okay, in any discourse, whether in written, either in spoken or written communication, we always bring with us our values, beliefs, and with that, it would always boil down to the idea of respect. Okay, you first must try to feel how it would impact, okay, yourself. So you have to taste your words first before you spit them out. So that's the quote that we have to consider in trying to understand the concept of intercultural communication. Okay, so I hope you've
Thank,
learned something.
thank you so much, sir. Thanks once again. And we are very honored to have you in here.
The pleasure is mine.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. My dear lovely participants, thanks for staying with us. Thanks for connected with us. And let me tell you once again, today our topic is intercultural communication and the code is IGP2878. Let me repeat it once again, IGP2878. Without code, no one is eligible for certificates. With code, you can claim your certificates anytime, or you can go to our website, and the website address is www.eduigp.com. So go to our website and collect your certificates, and don't forget to share your happiness with us, and don't forget to celebrate with us. Till then, stay happy, stay blessed. Have a good day to all of you. Thanks for stay connected till our program. Thank you once again. Have a good day.